What is up, everybody out there listening, whichever way you might be? I'm Mr. Bradley. This is the Heat Waves podcast. My dude to my left, my colleague, T-Ball. T-Ball, what are we talking about?
Man, we are to the NFC Championship game right now, guys. If you're paying attention to those brackets, you saw the picks. We're going to break them down for you. Like I said, we're starting with that NFC Championship. This is the number 5 Tampa Bay Buccaneers beating a very good New Orleans Saints team last week, taking on Green Bay, who beat a very good LA Rams defense. That was probably the best game I've ever seen them play, especially against the number 1 defense that's that good.
Yes.
So this should be an interesting matchup. The last time we saw these two teams was actually in the playoffs in 1997 during Green Bay's Super Bowl run, in which they met in a divisional matchup. Green Bay obviously won that. They obviously lost that Super Bowl to Denver.
Yes.
Yep, that's right, to Denver. But this will be the first time in 13 years Green Bay will host the NFC Championship.
In Lambeau.
And Tampa's first visit since 02-03 season. You know, this season, obviously, Tampa has played Green Bay, where Tampa won 38-10.
Whooped that ass, really.
Yeah, they put a hurting on Green Bay.
But that's you got to think about that. That's before Green Bay got everything figured out offensively and started rolling like they were and stuff. And the Bucs were much better, I think, defensively then than they were now.
Yes, that's what I have, highlighted here is, this is a different, ball club in Green Bay than when we saw back then.
That's 2 months ago, man.
So, yeah, things have definitely turned the tide for Green Bay. Now, obviously, Tampa's added some key factors as they've, gone along through the season. But the Bucs are on a 6-game win streak, but Green Bay is 18-5 in playoff home games. 36 playoff wins puts Green Bay number 2 for the most in NFL history behind
the Steelers.
That is correct, the Steelers. Looking at this game, there's a lot of things you can go through here. Tom Brady was shut out in that first quarter of the Saints game. That was the 5th time since 2014 in the postseason. He won all 5 of those games.
Wow.
So he did
That's
it
incredible.
against the Saints. Tampa, first team in history to be outscored by 40-plus points in the regular season against that team, and then be one of the first teams in history to come back and beat that team in the playoffs.
Third time's a charm.
That's a big fucking statement that Tampa just made last week. 30-plus points in 2 straight games for them. This is the 4th time in 7 seasons that Green Bay's been here.
NFC Championship.
This is going to be a matchup between, 2 great quarterbacks.
Future Hall of Famers.
The 4th matchup between these 2 quarterbacks. Yeah, Green Bay's top 10 in everything, though.
Offensively.
This Tampa team ain't too shabby either. Not the best at running the ball.
28th in the league at the rush attack.
They've got some, I don't know how Antonio Brown's looking.
Yeah,
I don't know if he's going to be healthy, but
he'll probably be a go, but he did have a little knee injury in that last game against the Saints. So
and it's not like Tampa's lacking anything. Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, just rolls down. Gronkowski. You've got some Leonard Fournette. I mean, it's hard to beat this Tampa team. Tampa's been very well, but, Aaron Rodgers this year ended with 121.5 passer rating. That was first in the league. 48 passing touchdowns. MVP votes, in my opinion.
A lot of people's eyes.
I'm going to say it right now. As long as Green Bay on offense does not turn the ball over, they will win this ball game.
Like last week against the Rams, they didn't have a turnover and didn't allow a sack. I mean, that just spells against the team.
We're going to see a lot of passing in this game. There's a great pass rush on both sides of the ball, so both these quarterbacks are going to have to get rid of it really quick. I'm going to have to say, as far as quick passing, I think Tom Brady is a little better, in my opinion, on the quick pass, getting that ball out,
really?
On the quick slant. I mean, he connects on it so much. That's like his go-to.
Yeah, but
that's why I say, that's why I've always said he doesn't throw the ball over 25 yards.
Yeah, but Aaron Rodgers has the quickest release,
He does have the quickest release, but I think Tom Brady is more efficient at, completing that quick pass. Obviously with weapons like this, that's increased those numbers.
Devontae Adams over there, but yeah, I see where you're going. I got you.
Over, a historical time, look at,
Julian
Edelman and what he's done with those quick slants, and, the eye test, comes down to looking at it even on paper. Green Bay seems like the better ball club. Like I said, they weren't who they were in that first matchup. This is a completely different team.
I think you've seen last week what that team is.
And it's like we just brought this new car to the showroom floor, and it's the Green Bay Packers, and they're firing on every cylinder. The paint job looks good. Defense looks good. Offense looks good. Special teams is looking good. I mean, it's hard to argue that the fact that Green Bay
offensively
isn't
are
going
rolling.
to win this game.
They are rolling.
I'm not saying that Tampa Bay doesn't have anywhere close to a shot. This is like a coin flip to me. Tom Brady's been here a time or two, and for him to come in the NFC, I'm very impressed so far with what Tom Brady's been able to do. He's in the NFC Championship.
I'm not impressed, and that goes back to say, look at the team he's got. I mean,
he's had a lot of weapons, but
people say the same thing every year about Patrick Mahomes and that Kansas City Chiefs. Look at the weapons he's got. Without anybody can play quarterback over there and be that good. If you got an offense and like that, blah blah blah. Well, he's got an offense and a defense, T-ball.
And that's what
it's
I'm
not
saying.
that hard.
I mean, so
1 year together.
You could make that same, argument for Patrick Mahomes. Like, would Patrick Mahomes be this good if he didn't have the weapons he had? That's where
he throws a different pass and stuff that Tom Brady can't throw. But
true, but that's another story. But
yeah.
This is going to be a really tough game. As long as like I said, that's going to be the only way Green Bay wins this game. You cannot make a mistake against this Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense. They are good at creating turnovers.
Yeah, look at last week.
This is going to be a very close game. I think it's going to come down to the wire. I got the Green Bay Packers moving on to the Super Bowl.
But I'm not taking anything away from the defense of the Bucs. They looked phenomenal. I mean, especially that white kid. I'm pretty sure
obviously in that game, Tampa Bay came to play, and the Saints obviously did not.
It just looked like that.
Tom Brady's always comes to play, so
so Green Bay better be ready because everything
right.
that like you were saying, if you look at the paper, the numbers and stuff like that, everything from last week, what they did to their offensive and defensive ranks all year long are pretty close between the Bucs and the Packers. I mean, Bucs are 8-2 away, including playoffs this year. Green Bay's 8-1, including playoffs this year. So
at
it's
home?
At home. So it's
wow.
like, where's the advantage there? Green Bay's got one less game because they got a first round bye. Bucs 7th ranked total offense. Packers 5th. Defense is 6th for the Bucs, and the Packers are the 9th total defense. But here's where the difference maker is. The Packers can run the fucking ball. We've seen that last week and the week before that with Chicago where they have the three-headed monster. That's what they need to implement. They need to run the ball just like they did against the best run defense there is in the league, the Rams.
And like I said,
and it made them look like salt.
That's probably their only weak point, I think, coming into this week is they've been having a hard. I think they're kind of like on and off with the whole stop and the run. There's days
it's tough to stop Kamara, too.
Just crush people, and I've seen days where they're non-existent.
Exactly, but the Packers are 8th in the rushing attack, and there's no keeping up with the Bucs there at 28th, 2nd in the pass attack, 9th in the pass attack for the Packers, 2nd for the Bucs, like I was saying. But here's the crazy one: Bucs are 10-0 when leading at halftime this year, 3-5 down at half, including playoffs. Packers are 11-0 when leading at halftime, and 1-3 when not. Get this, last week's numbers. This is so crazy how identical the offenses are. And if you think about it, the Bucs have way more, like everybody's talked about, way more offensive weapons compared to the Green Bay Packers. But what they're running with their motions and quick screens, and Devontae Adams having a ridiculous season for his 14 out of 16 games he played. Yeah. But last week, Packers scored on 6 of 8 possessions. One of those possessions was a kneel down, so of course you're not going to score on it.
This is against the Rams.
Yeah, and they could have scored on that one because they got all the way down to the 10 there. Versus the number 1 defense last week. Bucs scored on 6 of 9 possessions versus the number 5 defense last week. And the Saints, Rodgers and Brady last week had no turnovers. Rodgers wasn't sacked. Brady took 1. These offensive lines are fantastic for these two ball clubs. And we thought coming in, Bakatari being out for the Packers, starting left tackle last week, was going to be like, oh my God, Aaron Donald and that defense is going to get after them and sack. Well, it's totally not that. It's totally the opposite. These offensive lines have come to dominate the line of scrimmage, and that's what you're going to have run game this week against the Bucs to beat them. That's what you're playing. You're playing the Bucs defense this week.
And Green Bay's, tied for 6th in sacks this year, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
So, they're getting after the quarterback too.
It's just... I think the Packers are offensively rolling as a whole better than what the Bucs are. The Bucs have so many weapons; they can't just get in rhythm with the same 2-3 guys and throw. Packers got one guy. You got Devontae Adams, and then their second guy is maybe it's Alan Lazard. Okay, maybe it's Marquez Valdez-Scantling, or it's Tunyon. That's what I was going third. And when he gets involved, it seems like the Packers win some games when Tunyon and Devontae Adams get involved. So.
I think the difference maker, if we're gonna pinpoint it, will be the run.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. In the offensive line, it's got to be in the trenches. It's got to be one, and at the line of scrimmage, they're gonna if they let me tell you this: if they dominate the L.A. Rams or the Bucs like they did the L.A. Rams at the line of scrimmage in the run game, like they did last week, the Packers win this game because when you control the line of scrimmage, now you control the ball game, and that's what the Packers did. Back to the whole them just being identical. It's hard to pick these teams. Number 1 scoring offense, Packers. Number 3 scoring offense, the Bucs. Packers have the longest. I think this is where the difference maker is because if you think about Tom Brady, one last thing, you want him on the sideline as much as possible, right? Because that gives him less attempts with this.
Got to make him angry.
Yeah, not only that, but just to keep him on the sideline so he doesn't get throws to all these amazing weapons he has of chances at scoring because they do score. This is good offense. I mean, this is a scary offense when you got to go toe-to-toe.
This team makes me very nervous. Of all the teams that were in the NFC, this one was the one
the
I
weapons
was afraid
are galore.
of the most. That's why I kept picking against them because the last team I wanted to see was this one.
What you want to keep is Tom Brady on the sideline because of all those reasons, right? Here's a crazy stat that I went and found out. Packers have the longest offensive drive averages.
Oh, very good.
Which is good to keep Tom Brady on the sideline, like I was saying, longer and less the chances for the Tampa Bay to go out there and have to score. And it also keeps your defense on the sideline longer to be rested to go against Tom Brady.
Yeah.
But they're the number 1 team on longest offensive drive average.
I mean, I think
but if you keep them there.
And I think, that difference maker, I think your difference maker starts with that run because that 1-2 punch with A.J. Dillon and the lead
1,
guy.
2, 3. Aaron Jones, Jamal Adams, or Jamal Williams, and then you throw in A.J. Dillon.
Yeah, A.J. Dillon's been getting a lot more carries, and I think, your difference maker comes down to the difference maker I chose because the Bucs being not weak on that side of the ball, good, but not like they have been. I think if they don't focus more on that, the Packers might run away with it, but Tom Brady's real good at making comebacks too. So
I'll tell you one more thing: both these teams will have trouble defensively on third downs against each other, and here's why. Bucs are 19th in stopping third downs.
Oh, I think this is going to be a very high-scoring game.
And Green Bay is 23rd at stopping on third downs. So, but the difference maker also again red zone defense. Packers have the 8th best. The Bucs have the 20th best red zone defense, and the Packers have the number 1 red zone offense. So that could spell a big time disaster if the Bucs let them get down there in the red zone. And I think that's what's going to happen. I think this offensive line is going to dictate what they did last week and do it again. And these motions and quick screens are going to take care of that pass rush for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, as you call them.
Tampa
and
Bay
I do agree with you. I think it's the Packers' time. Aaron Rodgers, I just don't see him getting one shot. He's had 2 shots at home at the NFC Championship to play at a home game in Lambeau Field. We'll see what happens, but I'm just going to have to take the Packers by a slight edge. I think this is still going to be a shootout. Packers skate by and end Tom Brady's spectacular run to the Super Bowl. I'll give them that. I'll give them it. First time with a new team and taking them this far, but at the same time, I take a little bit away from him because of how good and all these weapons are on offense and defense. But that's my take on all this. I got the Packers going to the Super Bowl still against, and you'll have to find out on the AFC Championship when we pick those ones.
Well, stay tuned for that, guys. We both got Green Bay winning this one. Obviously we're going to hear from somebody. We focus less on the desk this time and a little more on the conversation. So, Martin, I hope you're happy there, sir.
Martin Sanders.
We'll see you guys next time. Stay tuned for that AFC picks. I'm your boy T-Ball.
And I'm Mr. Bradley. You stay classy, YouTube.
And as always, thanks for stopping by.